All right. This next one is for Vita Doden as well. Dancing on My Own. I want to dance with somebody. All right.
Somebody said you got a new friend. Does she love you better than I can? There's a big black sky over my town. I know where you're at, I bet she's around. Yeah, I know it's stupid, but I just gotta see it for myself. I'm in the corner watching you kiss her. No, I'm right over here. Why can't you see me? No, no, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home. No, I keep dancing on my own. Night clock strikes upon the hour, and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away. I've done alright up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. But when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Somebody who loves me.
Very cool mashup. We're just gonna pause right here in the middle. Yeah, I mean, look, we love live performances here. I prefer that just because I like hearing people in their most raw of elements. But with a studio recording, there are still a lot of things to talk about. Now, I think it's important to bring up, because this was a point of contention in some past live streams. Auto-tune is not purely used to correct pitch or make up for a deficit in a singer's ability to hit a pitch or be in tune or whatever. Auto-tune is really used to take a recording and make sure that it fits harmonically well into a mix. This is a very well mixed and very well mastered recording. Good stuff, done on the mixing and mastering end. Sounds very good, very cohesive. You hear the voice very clearly. A really beautiful, really nice coloring, dynamic microphone right there. That's not very different from the microphone I use to broadcast with here. Although I do prefer ribbon and condensers when it comes to singing, but that's because my acoustic needs are very different from this singer's. Robin, right? Really beautiful cover. Now at the beginning, we get a lot of really breathy, low range stuff. It's a lot of low chest voice. I'm just going to do a little bit of back and forth here just to kind of clarify some of the sounds we're getting. Now, mind you, this has a lot to do with the way he's using the microphone too. It can also be, purposely used as an effect, not something everyone wants. But for this kind of music, this kind of cover, I think it sounds very nice and tasteful.
Does she love you better than I can?
Right there, that's head voice in the lower range. Simply put, you can take that quality and take it all the way up if you want and get some power, whatever. Repeat it, skip ahead a little bit.
I know where you're at, I bet she's around.
So then you add a little bit of mix into it, a little bit of frontal resonance, that nasality you kind of hear. Right here.
I know where you're
I know. A little nasality in there to add some different colors. Then we dip right back into that low head voice.
I bet she's around.
You can still have depth and color in head voice, especially low in the range, right? That's chest timbre, not necessarily chest sound. You know, that sound, you can take it up. Oftentimes, pure chest voice isn't great to always sing in. It's kind of exhausting, to be quite honest. Robin is doing a great job at that, balancing it out.
Yeah, I know it's stupid.
That's going, and no, it's from chest voice and releasing into head voice at the end of that phrase. Stupid.
But I just gotta see it for myself. I'm in the corner watching you kiss her.
Okay, so then it's mostly that until we get
taken home. No, I keep dancing on my own.
Now I can't tell exactly, but these are probably not recorded while these videos are being done. They might be. I might be wrong. But there's a possibility that he's just mouthing the words. So I'm not going to comment on his anatomy and what he's doing there. He obviously knows what he's doing, but there's not much I can gleam on that. Uh-oh, guys, my camera might die. It's never really happened, but the battery's low and it's not charging properly.
Night, clock strikes upon the hour, and the sun begins to fade.
Here we are. This is where we got a lot of interesting, unique quality in the sound. That's that forward quality that he adds in that lower section at the beginning. He's taking that up and pairing it with that really nice released head sound. So we're getting a different type of chiaro and scuro. Chiaro and scuro, right? Chiaro, scuro, right? The bright and the darkness. That's the Italian way of putting it.
Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away.
The way to approach this, guys, if you're looking to sing like this, is definitely to start out with getting that hooty head voice sound, which is different from falsetto. Some call it a hooty sound, some call it like the grandma sound, but that's where you start, right? And then you integrate using more breath to keep the sound up there. Instead of using more breath, that might pull it down. Yeah, Avi Kaplan, pentatonics? Bass singer, I think.
I've done all right up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. But when the night falls, my lonely heart calls.
It's a preference thing. I mean, I think the artistry of mastering and mixing a track is just as, talent driven as the artist is here. It just doesn't take a certain set of muscles that you need to build up over time. But there's still artistic talent that goes into mixing tracks, in my opinion. I don't think I'm very good at it. I think I get by with whatever I have to do mixing and mastering wise, but there are some people who just bring out some really lovely qualities in recordings. And it's an art. It's just as much an art. So let's go back to where we finished and close out this song.
Go up, the music dies. Somebody who loves me, so far away, but still so near. The lights go up, the music dies, but you don't see me standing here. I just came to say goodbye. I'm in the corner watching you kiss her. Oh, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy to take it home. No, I keep dancing on my own. And now, I'm in the corner watching you kiss her.
Beautiful singing. Capriani, I think that kind of sums it up really nicely. Because live performances use effects as well, obviously. You can set certain songs and certain sections in songs to have certain vocal effects, whatever you want in the recording. But there are certain things you can't cover up. So there is a minimum amount of vocal talent needed to make in-person things sound good. When it comes to studio recordings, there is like almost limitless amount of things you can make to sound good. You can take a synthesizer sound and manipulate it to the point where it sounds like a real human voice. And then you can take a voice and pair it with that and do everything in between. It's a very important discussion to have, but I don't think you should approach the topic of studio recordings versus live recordings as like one is right and one is wrong. There is an equal amount of artistry potential in both of them, in my opinion. And that's coming from someone I've never dealt with recordings at all. I never even deal with microphones, so I'm a complete third party in this matter. I'm not going to be that pretentious opera douchebag who's like, well, if you use a mic, you can't sing. You don't know how to sing unless you project with your voice naturally. It's like, shut the fuck up. I'm sick of that. I'm so sick of that. I'm sick of the gatekeepers in my industry. That's why I'm here. Avi was trained as an operatic bass, but his voice was too unique for opera, according to his teachers. I would love to talk to his teachers and hear what they were talking about, because I don't know what that means. I think a good voice can learn to sing, whatever. And Avi clearly has a good voice, but he's doing what he's doing really well, right? And I think Avi is where he needs to be as a singer. He could do opera. He could probably do opera. But there are, when it comes to the voice in a career, I've had conversations about Skyface with this. Like, you can train your voice and get to a point where you're just as good as these professionals that we talk about here all the time. There are plenty of examples of that. And then on top of that, when you get to that top level, whether it's in opera, even though opera is a small industry and not many people watch it, when you're at that level, it's still about, it becomes 40% your actual ability and 60% marketing and being reliable and being a good colleague and being good to work with and drawing in crowds. And so much of it at that point doesn't have to do with your actual singing ability. But to get there, obviously, you have to have the singing ability. Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, anyone can learn the techniques. If I've learned anything, it's just that people don't want to put the work in to get there. That's fine. You can approach singing however you want. But if you want to become a professional, you got to devote your life to training. Like, you got to do those diaphragmatic breathing exercises every day. You have to constantly be experimenting and second-guessing yourself, not in a bad way, but just in a way it's like, is there a way that I can optimize how this works? Continuing to learn. That's what all these amazing singers of all these genres have in common, is it's this constant training in learning their own voice. Like, that's the persistence that gets you there. We'll do a talk either this Friday or next Friday about that, but I have some graphics set up to illustrate it even better. Can you talk about opera and not mention Dimash? Well, Dimash doesn't sing like traditional opera. He has his own. People compose for him, and his voice is kind of like different from the actual style that opera houses and like traditional opera houses do. Albeit like, it's very, what he does is very impressive in its own sense, because he said it himself, like, what he does is 1% talent, 99% hard work, right? It's not, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, my world of opera is very separate from what Dimash's fans refer to as opera. It's just like, but that's the problem with my industry, is that it's so bad about educating people about what it is. Who, Avi does? Yeah, but Avi makes great recordings and that kind of thing. Anyway, let's finish this song, guys.
Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody who loves me. So far away, but still so near. The lights go up, the music dies, but you don't see me standing
So I used to say this a lot, guys, but slides like that, slides that have consistent timbre to them, slides that you don't get any vibrato, any loose, that's one of the hardest things to do because it requires a linear increase in breath pressure, which means you can't overpressurize the air at the beginning or underpressurize the air or let off at the end. You have to just create a linear increase of breath pressure as you go up, which is the only way you can do that is if you really perfectly understand how that air needs to go, right? We talk a lot about chemistry and harmonies, like Flor and Marco don't feel chemistry in harmonies with himself. Yeah, but Capriani, but keep in mind, like the reason we hear, whenever we talk about duets between two different voices, the duets are nice to listen to, pleasurable to listen to, because there's so much distance in their sounds, right? Leah, get out of here. The sounds are interesting. Marco's voice is interesting to listen to with Flor's voice because they're so different, and they both have things in their voices that the other doesn't have. So then when you listen to them together, it's like instead of getting this voice and this voice that, like in this case, in this same singer doing this recorded duet with himself, we get like this much crossover. But with Marco and Flor or any other singers that have contrasting voices, we get like this much crossover maybe. And so we get so much more of a whole sonic profile when listening, which is a lot more entertaining, right? To our ears. It's a lot more interesting to our ears, which is why we enjoy that so much. Now, I don't want to take anything away from this recording, though, because I think we're talking about a singer who has a really, really wonderful facility in two very contrasting places that both elicit some really fantastic ease. Yeah, Flor, but well, we can talk about more of that.
With somebody who loves me.
Great, fantastic.
Hey
Beautiful,
everybody,
beautiful color.
thank you
Hi.
so much for checking out my mashup.
Guys,
of
go
Dancing on
follow
My
Nick
Own and I Wanna
Pitera.
Dance with Somebody.
Go follow Nick Pitera.
I love
beautiful,
both of
beautiful
these
singing.
songs individually and had a lot of fun putting them together to create this mashup.
We had a lot of fun
And
listening
I really
to
hope
you.
you enjoyed it. If
Nick,
you did,
thank you.
it's available on iTunes and Spotify and a bunch of other digital retailers, so please go check it out.
Please go
There
check
are
it out,
links
guys.
Down below in the box. As always, if you aren't subscribed, please do so.
And go
click the
find Nick
little
Pitera on
bell
YouTube and
icon
subscribe.
So you get notified every time I post
And hit the
a
bell to
video.
get notified.
I put something up every first and third Friday of the month, so please be sure to come back and check out new music. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Those handles are all down below in
you
the
do
box
those
and
things-
on the screen. Finally, a huge thank you to everyone who is supporting on Patreon. Patreon
All the
makes the
patrons.
production of these videos
Go be a
possible,
patron
so
if you
I
want.
really appreciate everyone who's supporting there. Please go check out my page and see what it's all about and see if it's something you want to join.
I'm watching the I'm watching the like the ticker, and like it's like a quarter of the video are the plugs. It's not a big deal. I think I want to start doing a better job at representing some of the smaller singers that we watch here. I'm not like a big, I'm not huge on any of these platforms, but I think I am using their content for my content. The least I can do is say go follow them. So go follow them. It's not going to hurt you. It doesn't take anything away, right?